Well, hello everyone. Welcome back to my channel. I've got a special guest on today. Hey Luke, how's it going?
Good. How are you, Matt?
I'm good. Guys, everyone watching, Luke is a previous client of mine, and he moved from the state of California here to Tennessee, and we're going to talk about that. So, Luke, what part of California did you move from?
I was Southern California, so Orange County, specifically around the Anaheim area. So we were about 20 minutes-ish away from Disneyland.
Oh, nice.
Yeah.
How long did you live there?
In that particular location, we were there for about 2 years.
Okay.
And we loved our house. we thought that was the place we were going to be. And we actually moved in the middle of the pandemic. It was December, or I was going to say October 2020.
Okay.
We moved in, and yeah, we thought like that was the way to go, and we were super excited. But we were seeing a lot of things in California that we were just not happy with, and so we started to look at other options in leaving the state.
How long did you live in the state of California?
For myself, I've moved there as soon as I graduated high school. So I'm dating myself, but it was it was around I want to say June of 2004 is when I moved to California.
Okay, so a while. I mean, you guys were there for quite a while.
Yeah, I've been there for a bit, and I've moved all different areas, but all in Orange County. I remained in Orange County, more southern Orange County for a bit, and like Rancho Santa Margarita, Mission Viejo area, and then moved up a little bit more north. But my wife was born and raised in Southern California her whole life. So
that was going to be my next question. So
yeah,
I'm sure that you guys had lots of family out there. I mean, do you have cousins and stuff like that?
yeah. Actually, no family. My immediate family were the ones that brought me to California when I graduated, and they've since moved away. They were in Irvine, but her family, very much. They were all still there in Orange County. My mother and father-in-law are still there. They're in Orange, in the city of Orange in Orange County. And yeah, they're all still there except for one sibling of hers and his wife have now since moved out to Texas, near the McKinney area.
Wow. It's funny. I see there are a lot of people moving specifically from Orange County here.
Yeah.
Is that just because there's just a lot of conservative people living in Orange County and they don't like what they see going on, or?
Yeah, I think it's funny you say that, because Orange County, at least historically for the state of California, was one of the more conservative areas. So you'd have this like mostly thoroughly blue state, with the exception of a couple of the farming counties, and then Orange County. But Orange County started to move more, I think, purplish as time went on, and then has kind of stayed there. And with the pandemic, I think there were a lot of things that were kind of bubbled up to the surface. You know, what the school situation was like, if people liked the things that they were teaching. Taxes, I mean, everybody talks about how expensive California is. Orange County is definitely right up in there with the rest of the expenses that people mention, with you know, how crazy the state is with gas and everything else. Cost of living is just really high. And safety is a big concern now in Orange County. So there used to be a lot of times where they would, you know, make sure that the homeless were not in the streets and your residential areas, and, you know, open drug use on the streets was definitely frowned upon. They'd arrest people. But there's just been a series of laws that have taken place that have definitely changed the safety factor for families. It's been a real problem down there.
Was there like one moment, if you look back, that was like I know that it was probably a lot of things like you just said, but was there like one moment that finally caused you and Brittany to be like, that's it, we're making this move, we cannot deal with this anymore?
Yeah, I think so where we lived in Anaheim was considered Anaheim Hills. So it was not the downtown Anaheim area. And it's a very nice, you know, nice area of Anaheim. It's, there's a lot of families there. And I would say, it's a little, middle income homes and things. There's a lot of places to eat and shop. So it's not one of these places where, people would be like, oh, that sounds scary. Everybody's shopping and having a great time and hanging outside. And while we were there, we were starting to go, oh my gosh, like, why are these crimes happening in this community with helicopters over our heads while we were trying to sleep almost every consecutive night? That was kind of like the first, like, that's crazy, because this is an area that, even though neither of us had lived there, we were very familiar with it. We had friends and family there and hung out there many times. We thought, that's really strange. It's new to us. And as time started to go on, again, with the pandemic and such too, all of the mandates and things were like, wow, they're cracking down on this. They're not cracking down on crime. And all the expenses are still high. Like, there's no tax breaks or anything that are happening during this time. So it was finally, like, literally the combination of those three things. We go, this is not sustainable. We can't be here. And we were really worried about our safety. Like I said, for our family was a big factor.
Yeah, for sure. It's crazy. I've heard the same thing from other people about different areas of California, like a big one. And I really want to do a video and like look into what the facts are. But like a big one that I hear is people are not happy about what's happening in the schools.
Yes.
And, you just keep hearing stories, and we don't have to go into details, but just stuff that people are like telling me about, books that are in the schools and the libraries. And
yes. Yeah. You start to get into a situation where there's a debate between, like, okay, we're Americans, and when you're an adult, you're an adult. You can make any decision. You have so many freedoms under the Constitution. But when there's certain things that are definitely more complex for a child to understand, getting pushed through the school system, you go, I think that's kind of where the line is. I don't know if I want some of those things to be taught to our little guy that is, like, barely able to figure out how to tie his shoes, let alone handle, complex, either historical things that have taken place and, and slavery and those types of things, or even like different, gender ideologies that are really complicated for, like I said, somebody that's like literally just trying to figure out how to tie his shoe and make his bed and like figure out basic math,
I tell people, look, I really do try to be like open-minded. I understand in this world that people are different.
Yes. And
I'm okay with that. People are different. People are going to do different things.
Yeah.
So like, I mean, if an adult male decides that he is actually a woman and whatever, it's strange to me, but like, okay, I'm not going to like wish harm to them or anything like that.
Of course. Yeah, for sure.
But I'm with you. Like, for kids, like, it's definitely not something that is natural, and it's not a fact. We know that. It just isn't.
Yeah.
So for that to be pushed on kids, that kind of ideology and stuff, and it's like not fair to the kid, in my opinion.
Yeah. Yeah. I think that's when it starts to like get strange, as I said, because then the kids are confused. They're trying to grapple with like what that even means and what things are being communicated to them and how that fits in their world. And here we are as parents, again, with the pandemic. There were all sorts of different things that were coming up when kids were getting sent home, and, parents would check in on what their Zoom session was looking like. And they go, well, I thought you were, reading, about all of these types of things with like basic grammar or, stories of history and, science. And then you're getting pushed with all these other things. I didn't know I was paying for that with my tax dollars. And that was kind of maybe one of the best things to come from the pandemic was the kind of gleaming the insight into what was going on to the classroom.
That's interesting. I didn't think about that parents were starting to see and hear a little bit more of it at their house.
Yeah. for sure. I think that was a big trigger for a lot of folks to go, I don't know if this is for me. And then, you know, they looked at homeschooling options and other things. And our little guy was homeschooled, but we were starting to see it even with charter, because charter funds are, I mean, it's technically part of the public institution of California. And so you get money, even though you're not teaching in, you know, the standard, you know, classroom down the street, you know, so you would still be part of that public institution. And they would say, well, if you're not teaching these concepts, or if you're not following these types of exercises, then we're not going to, you know, you can't sign up with the charter, or the charter won't continue to be funded. And so people were left with this decision, even for homeschoolers, going, gosh, I don't know what I'm going to do here. Maybe I need to look at other alternatives. And some of those meant leaving the state as well. Well,
so you make the decision to leave the state. You guys ended up in College Grove.
College Grove, yep.
Which is just south of Nashville by like 30, 35 minutes or so.
Yeah, love it here.
So on the move, tell us about the move. Did you hire movers? Did you do it yourself? Like what obstacles did you run into physically making the move out here to Tennessee? Like what did you learn?
Yeah, we had a couple of things that were unique to our situation, but I'm sure there are others that are probably thinking of a similar way to do it. So we were one of the folks that didn't want to deal with buying a home in Tennessee with a contingent offer. We wanted to be fully done with California, have the money in the bank, and then kind of sort through things out once we got to Tennessee. So our kind of way of doing it was, we're going to put everything in kind of like a pod storage container, or 1-800-PACK-RAT. Get one of those big ones we had dropped off to our driveway, put stuff in there. And we got a couple of those like U-Haul U-Packs as well. And so we were able to load it up there, because we still had no idea where we were going. We knew that we were going to rent for a little bit, and we didn't know the specifics of the town. So we had it all there in storage. And then we also went up, because there's so many people that are leaving California. We knew we needed a little bit more stuff with us directly that wasn't in storage for just living situations. So even when we were going to find a fully furnished place, we were going to need to still get to, like, you know, our blankets and, you know, some of our other things, because we were traveling with 2 dogs as well in the car. So we couldn't really put a whole lot of luggage or anything. So we looked at, like, do we get a U-Haul trailer or whatever? And because of the rates going up so much in California, it actually wound up being cheaper for us to buy a small used trailer and then selling it once we got to Tennessee. So we actually just recently sold it, and it was about, you know, breaking even on it. So it was a great idea. But I also liked the fact that with the trailer, we could take our time, because we wound up hopping around to a couple of different rentals, and we didn't have to worry about, oh, what is the U-Haul cut off, and are we going to have enough time, and then drop it off. So we were able to have that trailer with us for the different type of destinations, and have all the main stuff live in storage for a while. And that worked out really, really well for us.
So you jumped in with your trailer and headed to Tennessee then, right?
Correct. Yeah.
And you stayed in Airbnbs, right?
Yeah, we well, one of them was an Airbnb, and then the other one was kind of this new startup that we used called Hello Landing, which is basically these fully furnished places with like a 30-day minimum, and they're kind of like Airbnb, but the idea is they're units that are in apartment complexes. So they'll own a single unit, or they'll work with the folks there for a unit, and everything's in there fully furnished. So we had an Airbnb. We needed like a really big space. And again, we didn't know where we were going to land. So it was a little further out than where we wanted to be. So then we looked at this other situation, grabbed a place with Hello Landing, and it had all the utilities and again, everything fully furnished. So we didn't have to worry about like pots and pans and all those kind of miscellaneous things. We moved there, and it was really great situation. So we had one of those in Brentwood actually, and there's a bunch of them in Brentwood and Franklin specifically.
Are those priced okay? I mean, they're going to be expensive, I know, but like
You know, if you go in now, you get a discount, obviously, if you lock for more consecutive months. So if you know for sure, like I know it's going to be at least, 3 months for me or 6 months or something like that, the rates will come down. So if you know that you need like a quick turnkey stress-free situation, I definitely recommend it. In fact, I've recommended it to a lot of other folks that were thinking of needing like a 30-day kind of lease situation. It's great. It is definitely a little bit more expensive than, if you had a true lease and then you had switched it to month. But again, if you keep in mind that it includes all the utilities, and then the place we were in also included, it was as if we were a member. So they had a fitness center, they had a dog park so we could walk our dogs and everything. So you just kind of have to like keep an eye out of what the specifics are that you're looking into. But yeah, it's a little bit more than what you would normally pay, but definitely worth it in the long run.
But yeah, I was going to say that it's stressful enough.
Right.
Moving all the way from California. Now you've got your house sold. You can come out here. You've got your money in the bank. You've got a place to stay.
Yeah.
And you can like take your time and look for houses. Exactly. And just like do it on your own terms. I think that's worth it. And you're not stuck. Because I do see a lot of folks that come here and they're like, we're going to rent. But then they have to sign a 12-month lease.
Correct.
And that's almost like the same thing. They end up being sick of renting. So then they want to buy a place and then they have to pay the cancellation fee.
Yep.
So it's like you might as well just pay a little more and have that month to month.
Agreed. And the other thing too is you're moving twice, right? So if you find like a not fully furnished rental, like you said, that you lock in for a year, we'd have to unpack, we'd have to have the storage containers dropped off, unpack them all, because if you're there for that long, you're probably going to need more than just like the couple of sets of luggage and some other things. You're going to need more of it out of the storage unless you want to pay for it every single month. So it starts to creep up versus going, you know what, it might be more money per month, but you're not doing all of these consecutive months. You're doing, 30, 60, 90 days or something. And knowing, like you said, you can break the lease. There's no long-term that you're stuck. So as soon as you find that place that you really want, you can hit the ground running.
I mean, I tell everybody, look, maybe I know there's people that this doesn't work for, but I can find a house in a month. I personally could find a house that I like and move into in like the next week or two. I could find, it's not that hard. Stuff pops up.
Yes. I figured we were probably, when Brittany and I had talked about it and we had gone through this scenario, we said, you know what? We want to try to do it within 2 months, 60 days. So we did this Hello landing for 30 days. And then we had, 2-3 weeks at another place. So it wound up being almost about 60 days from seeing a place we liked, locking the offer, going through escrow, and then moving in. It was about that time. So it was close to what you estimated, Matt, with about, about a month, you could probably find something. And, it depends on what all of the specifics are that you're, looking into. But generally speaking, we figured it was going to be about that time. And on top of the fact that I'm a crazy person that follows the interest rates like a hawk. So when we were in the situation of looking at a home, I knew that the Fed was going to start to move things. And then therefore it was eventually going to trickle down to mortgage rates, even though they're not directly correlated. With that in mind, I said to Britt, I said, I really want to do 30 days to find a place, but you have, 2 weeks to try to find a place.
Yeah, because you got in before. Rates were still up, but not like they are now.
Yeah, so and don't quote me on this specifically, but I think we're around 6.5%. I think that's what we locked. It's something around there. But yeah, even this morning I was looking, it was about 7.25%.
Yep.
So I knew it was coming and I could start to see it move on us. And I realized, as many people across the country realizing, that as it trickles upwards, that you start to lose some of the features you want in a home because it gets priced out of your range. It could be space, it could be, you know, size of the garage or amount of garage spaces or whatever it is. I knew that was going to start to become an issue for us. So we kind of had this like really, you know, like I said, it was a funny discussion of like, oh, you have 30 days, but you really have like 2 weeks, so go find something and go. Yeah.
Well, so fast forward, now you're here, you've been here a while.
Mm-hmm.
Like, how has the transition been from Orange County, California to Williamson County, Tennessee? Was it easy for you to fit in with the people? Do you enjoy like the shopping and everything that kind of comes with this area?
Yeah, all of the above. I do want to say one thing with a challenge that we hit with moving our stuff, and I strongly recommend this for everyone that's listening. With our stuff that was in a storage container, sometimes storage containers can get lost by even the company that they're with. And so I had done a lot of research online, and I wound up buying a fairly cheap GPS unit that I just threw into the storage container. And it actually wound up helping us. We didn't have it lost in transit, but they actually forgot when we were supposed to receive it on the Tennessee end. And it was lost in their own facility. Like they didn't scan the barcode and keep track of it. So, and I've heard that from a lot of people. I've also heard it lost in transit or stolen, which is a whole separate scary issue. So of all the different scenarios that could happen, it was the least scary for us, but still a challenge where we had to communicate to them, hey, listen, where's our stuff? What's going on? And because I had access to the GPS and the GPU unit that I stored in there, I could quickly, you know, look it up online and see, oh, you guys actually have it at your facility. It's there. And my stuff is in it. And I know that it hasn't moved closer to where I'm supposed to be, because I think it was in Memphis or something, which, you know, we were clearly not in that area. We were trying to shoot for Williamson. So with that being a case, huge save. I totally recommend. That was probably like the biggest technical logistical issue we ran into. Everything else, honestly, has been super smooth. The people here have been incredible. And funny enough, the neighborhood, and we didn't know this when we moved in, has so many we call them Californian refugees that have done the same thing recently. Most of them Southern California, but several that are in, you know, more Northern California or even Oregon and Washington that have, again, they've kind of like found this spot in College Grove that just happened to work out that way. And everybody's been just so kind. Some like big changes that have happened, like, again, because the safety is a very different concern here. We're able to, like, everybody's watching each other. There's no scariness of helicopters overhead every night. Our little guy can like finally go outside and play with his friends and like bike around the neighborhood, things that are like so important to childhood development and how I grew up and how my wife grew up. You don't really see a whole lot in California anymore because everybody's really concerned. So having that and like just chatting with neighbors and getting to know your neighbors has been a huge blessing for us. We've been really happy with that. And then the whole shopping and places to eat, there's been such incredible explosive growth, even in the, let's see, we moved here since February or March, Matt, I think right around there.
Yeah.
Even just the months we've been here, we've seen new things that have cropped up and even new mom and pop businesses, which I'm a huge fan of supporting those if I can avoid a chain, finding more mom and pops that are like, you know, it's a new barbecue place or whatever that is open. There's so many great things that are opening. And it's been really cool to see because there's enough happening where you don't feel like you're in the middle of nowhere, but also that you're not in the hustle and bustle of like, you know, downtown Nashville. Yeah. If you want to be more of a suburb, it's a great balance between having the space, but still, you know, having things around you to get to still, you know, eat and shop and everything like that.
You know, I want to go back to, like, you mentioned that you've met a lot of Californians in your neighborhood. And I feel like some of the viewers here might be watching going, well, that's what I'm trying to get away from. I just want to say, like, all the Californians that I have met that are moving here are like you, with similar values. They're similar to the values that I have already as a Tennessean and to my friends. So I guess what I'm saying is, don't let that be a turnoff, because I've heard that where people like, don't go to Williamson County. That's where all the Californians are moving, and I want to get around. But I'm like, they're the ones that are good to be around.
Yeah, we had heard that too, and we were very mindful then when we picked up our family that we were surrounding ourselves with like-minded individuals. And so when we got here and we realized, oh my gosh, there's the Californians. It's funny. There's the Californians that are around us are those that are immediately in agreement with the majority of things, and so they love what the state is doing and has done, and they want to support that. The goal is to not flip it on its head and change it and California, Tennessee. They don't want that. They got away from it for a reason. They know exactly what it is that bothers them and the things that prompted them to leave. And so they're here to support the culture and the friendliness and the Southern hospitality and want to continue with that. And then there's the other Californians, which they're not, there's not as many of them, but they're the ones that might not necessarily agree with all of the things that you agree with or follow, but it's like those old school debaters or folks that you go, you know what? They are such a good guy. They might not agree with everything I mean, but they're going to shake my hand and like grab a beer at the end. And we're going to have a great time, and we respect each other. The folks that you still want as your neighbor, no matter what. Like, you might not agree on everything, but they're just good, awesome people. The ones that are, oh, sorry, go ahead, Matt.
I was going to say, I'm finding like that a lot of the people that I'm meeting that are moving here are like wanting to be very active in, like, for example, the curriculum that's taught at our schools.
Sure.
And just other stuff with our local government, where I think some of us Tennesseans are taking it for granted, and we might be missing that maybe some stuff is trying to get slipped in that we don't even see, because we just assume it's Tennessee. That couldn't happen here.
That's a really, really great point. I think one of the benefits of being from California is we bring the gift of knowledge and time. So we've been through battles. So we've seen that, and you've got time here, as opposed to California, which for things to turn around, if you're not happy with how things are in California, for them to completely turn around or even partially, I mean, we're talking years and years, I think, to change things over and elect new officials and amend laws and all those types of things. So I think it's a really good thing. We've had a lot of folks that are born and raised in Tennessee that have gone, well, did you guys see, this thing that just got pushed through or is attempting to get pushed through? And a lot of us from California go, yeah, not only did they push it through, it's on the books, and they've had it for years, or this is something that's coming down the pike in California and it might show up here. So just be aware. I think it's definitely helpful. And again, one of the things are, if you're moving your entire family from California and possibly leaving some family behind, but just doing a massive cross-country move, you're probably doing it to find a place that you already align with. So with that being the case, you don't have to necessarily be afraid, like, oh my gosh, all the crazy California, they're following me. It's no. It's the ones that are leaving probably have a similar thought and similar mindset to you to come on over to Tennessee.
Yeah, they do, for sure. I've talked to so many of them. They definitely do. I'm starting to see that, like I said, the Tennesseans, we're taking some things for granted, and it's really like opened my eyes, like the schooling. I just like assumed I'm in Thompson Station, it'll be okay, right? I don't know. I need to look into some things. I need to make sure.
Yes.
Because it's happening everywhere. So we just got to be careful.
Yeah. And I think the safety thing is a big one as well. You know, our hearts go out for all the homeless, and we always want to try to find a way to take care of them. And mental health is such a huge contributor to that. But there's different ways to handle the situation, and California is very much like a hands-off approach. Like, you know, it's all about housing. That's the reason this is really happening. And like, maybe it's mental health, but well, maybe if we give them clean drugs or clean materials on the streets, then that'll be fine. And that's not the case. That's not the way to handle the issue. So I think when those discussions, which are starting to happen around here as well, is like, well, how do we treat the homeless in a fair way, but also protect the citizens, which is the big thing, and try to balance that out. And like, maybe if you have open drug use on the street, that's a problem. That's something where we need to put somebody in jail for, and they shouldn't be doing that. So again, being aware of those types of things, I think, is going to help everybody in the long run to keep the state flourishing and being a great place to be.
Yeah. I think it's so funny when someone's in from California and we're like looking around College Grove and they're like, is this a safe area? I'm like, what? Because, you know, having lived there, I mean, it's insanely safe. I mean,
yeah, you're worried you're going to get mugged by a cow, you know, like those are the things, or trampled by a goat, or, you know, that your neighbor might accidentally shortchange you for a cup of sugar and give you, you know, only half a cup of sugar.
Right. Like, worried about that kind of stuff. Jeez. I saw it looks like the house across the street from you went up for sale. Am I imagining things, or?
No, you are correct. And they just finished some pretty extensive work in their backyard with a new fireplace and everything. And so their place is up for sale. And I know that there's been a couple of folks interested in it so far, but they would become our new neighbor, which we're excited to meet.
Yeah. So if you're watching, you can move right across the street from Luke.
Right across, yeah. And if you don't like me, then you can find a different home.
You can shove it. Well, all right. We're coming up on 30 minutes, and that's kind of where I feel like I lose everybody's attention. So I appreciate it. Is there anything that we missed that you wanted to say before I button up here? Or? No,
I appreciate it. And I appreciate everything that you've helped do for us, Matt, too. Because when, you know, you can only do so much research before you get to a location, and we were watching your videos online before we even moved to Tennessee. And that helped us when you would drive through the neighborhoods and show us things that were going on, or new buildings, new houses, and even new shopping centers was incredibly helpful. And then when we actually physically got here and we were able to work with you, it was a game changer. You are so knowledgeable in all the different towns and areas and schools and population size and everything to try to figure out what's the right fit for us. I'm truly, truly grateful for that for us.
Man, I appreciate it. Let's continue this segment of you talking about me for the I really like that.
That's another 30 minutes right there.
Yeah. No, I appreciate it. You guys were just wonderful to work with. I think that house you got, like, such a spectacular house. Remember the inspection report was like almost perfect.
I know, it was such a rare find, and the fact that I think it fell out of escrow, if I remember right, and so it was like right time for us to just look at it when we were starting to look, and it's just been a great home, a great neighborhood for all of us, and we really couldn't be happier.
That's awesome. That's awesome. Well, guys, if you're thinking of moving here and you want to chat with me, head over to workwithmatt.com. and you can schedule a 15-minute consultation. And besides that, Luke, thank you so much for coming on, and let's stay in touch.
Of course. Thanks, Matt. I appreciate it.
Yep. Tell Brittany I said hi.
Will do.
All right, man. See ya.
Bye.
Bye.